company. Ordinarily, two's company. But contrarily, we disagree, no matter what it happens to be.
You're the perverse one.
I agonize.
Night and day with you.
To compromise.
There's no way with you.
I wish I had picked a large boa constrictor, my friend.
Are you trying to tell me something?
You're the perverse one, two's company.
Indisputably.
Two's company.
Irrefutably.
How we embark on old Noah's Ark, pair by pair.
Not so loud.
So ask me whose company.
Whenever I choose company.
I gotta say, two's company.
Except for this affair.
You give me mal de mer.
You know what that means?
Could we let in some fresh air?
No, madam.
Au contraire.
Staverton absolutely sticking to it, but he's not going to do it because at the line, Royal Pinnacle is the winner. Staverton second. Then comes
Hope Robert's got the kettle on.
Isn't that your television?
Of course, it's my television. Robert must have gotten his electricity bill. Whenever that happens, he gets so frustrated he watches my set for 3 days. Oh, thank you, Vincent.
I'd never watch television during working hours. Why you put up with him, I just don't know. You could do so much better. May I say it was a pleasure chauffeuring you to and from the film studio.
Oh, thank you, Vincent.
My wife and I thought the book far superior to the screenplay.
Well, that's good because I didn't write the screenplay.
That was obvious, Mrs. McNair.
Oh, it wasn't as bad as all that, but nice try, Vincent. Let's have our tea.
Yes, now listen, I want you to pull all my winnings today on the 2:30 tomorrow. Testing. 1, 2, 3. You can hear me. Yes, good. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, madam. I wasn't getting a picture on my set, madam, and you did give me permission.
I know. What about the phone?
Yes, it's now functioning properly, madam.
Oh, what was wrong with it?
Yes, out of order, madam.
How did you know?
I beg your pardon?
How did you know that the phone was out of order? Telephone, telepathy? I'll get that.
It's the post office engineers, madam.
Hello? Hold on, you forgot to tell the post office engineers the name of the horse. Robert will call you right back on his own phone. Thank you. But before you do that, Robert, I'm terribly sorry, Vincent. Won't you sit down? Vincent and I will have our usual cup of tea.
Certainly.
I'd never used my employer's phone to make private calls.
Being allowed to make the occasional telephone call is one of the few remaining perks left to top management.
You call it perks, I call it stealing.
What do you call using your employer's car for private journeys?
Wrong, Robert. Vincent owns his own car. He's self-employed.
Meaning that nobody would employ him?
Wrong again. Like you, he prefers to be his own boss.
Except that I'm not self-employed, madam.
You could have fooled me.
Unlike the I'd rather have it in cash self-employed, I pay income tax.
So do I.
Proper income tax. Not think of a number income tax. Now, if you'll excuse me, some people have work to do.
Ever since I started chauffeuring you, he's been getting in his little digs, and I know why. He thinks I'm after his job.
Oh, Vincent, that's ridiculous.
No, it's not. I'd love to work for you.
But you do work for me. You're the best chauffeur I've ever had in my whole life.
So would my wife.
Your wife?
Yes, Mabel. She'd cook and clean while I did the handy jobs and the chauffeuring. It wouldn't cost you so much and there'd be no arguments. No using your private phone, no watching your television, no listening in to other people's conversations.
Would you, excuse me, Vincent, for just a moment?
Oh, all right if I make a phone call?
Sure, be my guest. Robert, I am not even entertaining the idea of employing Vincent or his wife.
Why tell me the obvious, madam?
I didn't want you to poison the tea.
I find his pathetic attempts to worm his way into my job rather amusing, madam. Always belittling my achievements, making out that he's better than I.
Well, he might be. It's possible.
The man is a spiv, madam.
What's a spib?
Among other things, someone who makes you feel you're about to get something for nothing.
Well, that lets you out. If there's one thing you're not, it's a spib.
I most certainly am not, madam.
Get something out of you for nothing, and it cost me 6 months' royalties.
But worth every penny.
What about the time you tried to con me into paying you in dollars?
Well, you're paid in dollars, madam. Why should I be treated differently?
Well, you were perfectly happy to be paid in sterling before the pound fell apart.
I must admit, that was one of my more shrewd decisions.
Well, if the dollar takes a nosedive, we can always look into Deutschmarks.
If 1929 were to repeat itself, madam, I should immediately seek employment elsewhere. Perhaps in Saudi Arabia.
Ah, Robert, you'd leave me for an Arab?
He'd have to be a sheik, madam.
Well, if you decide to shake off with the Sheik of Arabia, maybe I ought to consider employing Vincent and his wife.
If I might say so, madam, that is the sort of remark that has made Vincent get this ridiculous idea that you're dissatisfied with me.
Okay, Robert, I'll watch it.
You must tell him that he's wasting his time.
Can he have his tea first?
And if you find yourself wavering, madam, just remind yourself that the man is a very sly fox indeed.
Takes one to know one. Right,
I'll leave 10 pence by the phone, Mrs. McNabb.
Oh, Vincent, that won't be necessary.
Please, I wouldn't want it on my conscience.
Conscience?
I'll explain the meaning of the word to you later. Now, Vincent, let's talk about you and your wife.
She ought to be here in a few minutes.
She's coming here?
Yes, by taxi. You'll like her, Mrs. McNabb. Wonderful woman. Wonderful cook.
Oh, but I already have a wonderful cook.
She makes a better cup of tea.
You were going to tell him something, madam, if you remember.
I forgot. Let's talk about Saudi Arabia.
Tell me, do you drive?
Yes, I do drive, as a matter of fact. Quite magnificently.
Yes, Robert does drive me occasionally. Thank God for clunk click.
I had to make an emergency stop, madam, because you were worried that I might run over a squirrel.
I wasn't worried about the squirrel, Robert. I was worried about the tree. He was on his way up.
I rather fear, madam, that as a passenger you are a danger to the motoring public.
Vincent doesn't think so, do you, Vincent?
No, madam.
Thank you, Vincent. Did you hear that, Robert?
I can only assume that he put you in the boot, madam.
Oh, that is very funny. How did he guess?
Do you type your novels yourself, Mrs. McNabb?
Only the drafts. Then I have them done professionally, actually.
I type a little.
You do? How interesting. Answer the door, Robert, will you?
Certainly. Yes?
I'm Vincent's wife. Are you Robert?
Yes, I am.
So you're the one that's leaving.
No, Vincent is.
But he said over the phone he managed to get shot of you.
He aimed at me, but shot himself.
I did so hope he'd landed us this job. This chauffeur racket isn't working out.
We're in here, dear.
But he says he's not leaving. Don't worry, dear. We'll give you a few quid for your fixtures and fittings.
This is Mrs. McNabb, Mabel.
Oh, I've heard such nice things about you, Mrs. McNabb.
And I've heard such nice things about you, Mabel.
My wife, Mabel.
Yes.
Let me take your things, dear.
Oh, careful with the loaf. It's just out of the oven.
Baked it herself, Mrs. McNabb.
Oh.
Oh, would you like to taste it, Mrs. McNabb? I could butter you some now with your tea.
Kitchen's through here,
Oh,
dear.
thank you. Oh, yes, this would suit me nicely.
Okay, you win, Robert. I have a sneaking suspicion this is a setup.
And you didn't see it, madam.
No, I didn't see it. Now, how do we get rid of them?
You're completely fooled by the man's duplicity.
I know. I get the picture.
Why, any child could have seen that everything he said was a lie.
Well, maybe Mabel is a better cook than you are.
Very well, gentlemen, prepare dinner tonight.
Oh, Robert, I can't do that unless I'm at least considering the idea of hiring her. Why is it that you can't admit that there are some people in this world, Robert, not many, but some, who are better at some things than you are?
The few that are better, madam, are now in positions of great power and influence. For instance, I very much doubt if Mr. Roy Jenkins will be prepared to resign his present employment to become your butler.
Can you type?
Can Vincent?
Well, he said he could.
Very well, get him to prove it, while Mabel is proving that she's a better cook than I am.
Oh, Robert, this is ridiculous. I don't want to lose you.
And you won't, madam.
Are you sure?
Positive.
Of course, it would be a way of getting our own back, wouldn't it? I mean, a lovely sit-down dinner, no washing up. No, it's tempting Providence. We better not.
I've told Mrs. McNabb that I am quite prepared to hand in my notice should the two of you prove that your work is superior to mine.
Robert.
You will prepare dinner tonight for Mrs. McNabb and me,
Why you?
whereas I shall be one of the judges.
But that's not fair.
Notice the move towards the escape hatch, madam?
I'm not worried, Vincent. I know I'm good.
Robert wasn't serious about what you just said, were you, Robert?
Oh, yes, I was, madam.
I'll go make a start on the soup. I brought a few bits and pieces with me.
One moment, madam, and that may not be necessary. Taste the bread, madam. Well,
Well, I'm sorry, Robert, but it's beautiful.
so it is.
You better tell Mabel you were just kidding about that dinner bargain bit.
One swallow doesn't make a summer, madam. You said you could type. Very well, then. Type.
But I haven't typed for years.
See, madam, backtracking again.
Still, I don't mind having a go at it, but don't blame me if I'm a bit rusty. Oh, dear. Well, I've never typed on one of these. I wonder how it works.
I'm not to blame for what transpired upstairs, madam.
Well, who is, I'd like to know?
Well, if you hadn't gone to the film studio every day, you wouldn't have needed the services of a chauffeur.
I wanted to go to the film studio every day. I wanted to see what they were doing to my book. I'm a natural-born masochist.
Do you know anything about filmmaking, madam?
No, Mr. DeMille, but I'm willing to learn.
Because if you did, you'd know that your book was very unimportant.
Well, then why did they want to make a film out of it?
That's a question I keep asking myself.
There'd been no book, there'd been no film.
Perhaps they like the title.
They changed the title.
Dialogue,
They changed the dialogue.
the character.
They changed the character.
Should be a very good film, madam.
That's very funny, Robert. I mean, what if somebody took your, Robert's Waterloo hot pot and put different ingredients in it and called it Harry's King's Cross pudding? How would you feel?
Well, it couldn't possibly happen, madam.
Well, that's what they did to my book.
You see, my recipes and their names cannot possibly be improved.
You know, maybe I ought to have Vincent and his wife look after me. They like my books.
Sycophants, madam.
You better not push your luck, Robert, or by the time we have our coffee tonight, you're going to be on your way to Saudi Arabia.
Am I hearing you correctly, madam? Do you mean to say that you actually hand me my notice?
Well, I wouldn't want to, but I'd have to. That's the kind of hairpin I am.
Why should I be the scapegoat?
Who was it that said, I am prepared to give in my notice should the pair of you prove your work superior to mine?
And who got them into the house in the first place, madam? And why? Because you love flattery. You lap it up.
Oh, look who's talking. You hand somebody a glass of water and expect them to burst into applause. Just what is it that you do that you find so unbelievable?
Remain in your employment, madam. I sometimes wonder why I haven't been given the George Cross, madam. I have suffered, madam.
Oh, yes, Robert, I feel so sorry for you. Would you accept a month's notice?
I would rather have a month's salary and you, madam.
Would you be willing to leave in the morning?
At the very latest.
Good. Oh, what can I do for you, Vincent?
Just to let you know, I've started on the next chapter, Mrs. McNabb.
Oh, that's terrific. Robert, look at this typing. It's beautiful.
Would you like me to carry on?
Oh, no, Vincent. I think you've done enough work for one day. Why don't we all go up and have a drink before dinner?
I'm enjoying reading the plot of the thriller, Mrs. McNabb. I can't wait to know what's going to happen.
Can't have read your last book, madam.
So, this is where we might be living.
Yes, it's lovely, isn't it?
You have my permission to show him around, madam.
Are you leaving?
Why?
Oh, no, of course you're not. I haven't paid you yet. Where are you going?
To, tidy up the garden, madam.
That's one thing I don't know much about, gardening.
Oh, dear, Vincent. I know that wasn't part of the deal, but if there's one thing I have to have, it's someone who knows about gardening. What a shame.
Don't worry. Mabel loves gardening.
I was afraid of that. Would you like to see the bedroom?
Know where Vincent is?
Mrs. McNabb is showing him around the basement flat.
Oh, I'd like to look round the flat. I think Mrs. McNabb would mind.
She'll be delighted.
Tell me, does she like an aperitif before dinner?
We, both do. This way.
You're taking all this very well.
I try to be a gracious loser. Through there, on the left, and down the stairs.
Oh.
I'm, just going out to the, window boxes. To, do some, weeding.
I mean, as you see, there's not all that much room, I mean, for two people.
Now, this'll suit us fine. It's nice and cozy.
It's very damp.
We'll soon cure that.
Hot in the summer.
Not with the windows open?
Time to pour the aperitifs, Vincent.
Did Robert tell you about the mice?
This'll suit us nicely.
Never mind, they're really quite sweet, actually.
He's given in.
Sometimes they come out and run around a little bit before dinner.
He's no fool.
Maybe they decided on a night out.
Knows when he's beaten.
Thank God I was with them. Why am I talking to myself? Robert! Robert!
You called, madam? I'm sorry, I am rather busy, weeding.
Vincent is about to pour the aperitifs. Would you care to join me?
I'll be there directly, madam.
Oh, Robert, you know we can't live without each other. I mean, I was kidding on the square, but I was kidding.
It's too late for an apology, madam.
But I don't want to lose you.
A bargain is a bargain, madam. Shall we go together, madam?
And what will you have to drink, Mrs. McNabb?
Mrs. McNabb will have a Harvey Wallbanger.
A Harvey Wallbanger?
Yes, Vincent, don't tell me you don't know how to make a Harvey Wallbanger. Well, those are the breaks. I guess I'll just have a scotch.
Yes, but it's early days yet, madam. I mean, Vincent would soon learn how to make a Harvey Wallbanger. Don't forget to use the salver, will you?
Your scotch, Mrs. McNabb?
No, thank you, Vincent. Oh, my goodness gracious.
Your glass is dripping.
Robert.
No wonder this salver's swimming in it.
Don't let it worry you, Vincent.
But I didn't spill any.
Well, it so easily happen, old chap. I mean, you mustn't blame Vincent, madam.
Stop leaping to his defense.
But I want Vincent to think of me as a friend, madam.
Dinner will be ready in a moment.
Well, thank God. Just look at this dress. Oh, I don't know what it's going to do to the print. My cleaners always have told me that if you have... Well, I may be nuts, but I think these knives and forks are the wrong way around.
Oh, surely not, madam. Yes, they are.
Mabel.
Apparently, Mabel doesn't know how to lay a table.
Mabel is perfectly able. Put it down to nerves, madam.
What is it, dear?
You didn't set the table properly.
Oh, I could have sworn I put them the right way round.
Yes, but don't let it worry you. I can easily straighten it out. I mean, one of those things can easily happen, madam.
Now, this is a soup I'm famous for.
Well, if it tastes as good as it smells.
It does.
Well, I'll be the judge of that.
I just took a little sip before I went to look at the flat.
Vincent wants you to taste the wine, madam.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That's pure vinegar.
Sure.
It is.
It is, you know.
Do you hear that, Vincent? The wine's off.
Off? It was all right when I drew the cork.
Robert.
Never mind, madam. The soup will take away the taste. Drink up, madam.
Why don't you try a little?
Certainly, madam.
You're not drinking.
Neither are you.
I'm waiting for you.
No need to, madam.
Drink up, Robert.
Certainly, madam. It's delicious, madam.
Is it?
Quite delicious. Perhaps a pinch too much salt.
Fancy killing it with salt. What's got into you?
I never put too much salt in.
Then who did? Wait a minute. You were up here alone, weren't you?
Is that a crime?
Yes, it is. Because you stopped drink on the salver, you put vinegar in the wine and ruined the soup.
Look, now, wait a minute, Vincent. I know you want this job, but I will not have you telling lies about my butler.
But he's not lying.
Oh. Look, why don't you two just face it? You've lost the bargain.
But we only lost because he cheated.
Oh, just go.
It's all right, madam. I'll get the stomach pump.
Come on, Mabel. Let's get out of here.
But why?
Because we've been taken to the cleaners, that's why.
You shouldn't have let him out of your sight.
You should never have left the kitchen.
Well, I want you to see the basement.
Well, a fat lot of good it's done you.
Why couldn't you keep your eye on it?
Well,
Oh,
all I know, everything was going swimmingly until you turned up when you turned up.
You would never have been able to endure them for long, madam. No subtlety.
Well, maybe I did overplay that a little, Robert, but at least it got rid of them. I think I'll take a chance on the scotch. You know, Robert, what happened here tonight is a hell of an idea for one of my thrillers. Of course, I'd be dealing with murder, but look, sit down. Let me ask you a few questions. For instance, who put the water in the salver? Yes, that's good. That's a good line. Who put the vinegar in the wine?
I have no idea, madam.
And who put the salt in the soup?
Salt in the soup.
Who did it? I know who did it. The butler did it.